All
I
right.
was older than my dad.
And it's still not great, is it?
Yeah,
Well, that should work.
sure about that.
Eh, maybe.
Every time I get used to it, you move it.
Well, all right. So I'm not moving the camera anymore.
Okay.
Now you said we'll just start off with this. You said the furthest back that you could remember was
I was
whenever
like
Uncle Bob.
4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We went over to Indiana. I think it was in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And we picked him up from there was a hospital. I remember sitting out in the car. I think me and Dad was sitting out in the car. Mommy come out with him. He was a baby about this big.
Yeah. Hold it up.
This big.
He was that big.
A big baby.
How old was he?
He's 4 years younger than me, so he was,
A newborn then.
yeah. How they got him, I have no idea. They got me through the sheriff
How's that?
because my biological mom and dad, they had so many kids and they couldn't take care of them all, so I guess it was child services. I guess I'm not really sure. They got a court order and said, "Yep." I went with mom and dad, and my other brother, Steve, went with the other. We knew each other for a long time. Their mom and dad used to run a restaurant right there across from Oakwood Cemetery. And he had a stepbrother. I don't know whatever happened to him. He maybe passed away by now. But
Now,
he was older than him.
was Steve the one that you hung around with?
Yeah.
And I remember at one point you said that people were like, you guys look a lot alike.
Mm-hmm. I always thought we looked alike. I said, that's kind of strange. I can't remember how old I was when they finally told me I was adopted.
How did you find out you were adopted?
Mom and Dad told me. I can't remember when.
Now, did that affect you any?
No. When I met my biological father, that didn't read. I just kind of brushed it off.
How'd you meet him?
He walked up behind me and introduced himself. I was coming home. Let's see, this was about 1971, 72. And back then, I mowed yards in the summertime, and Mom kept me booked up. I'd spend all during the day mowing. I was tired, run down, sweat pouring off of me. I got you some more yard. And I said, did you ever think about maybe asking? Well, you like the money, don't you? And I said, yeah, but I said, I can only do so much, Mom. That was back when yards, you get $2 or $3 mow a yard, or $1.50 to mow a yard. I think my biggest one was $8.
For the whole yard?
Yeah. It had a massive, it was about the size of ours.
I guess the dollar was worth a little more back then, but
Well,
still.
yeah, like 32 cents a gallon for gas, 31 cents.
So could Grandma and Grandpa not have their own kids?
No, Mom couldn't have any. When I was younger, she was constantly having operations.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to stay with Shorty and Doit.
Who were they?
Shorty, which was her real name, was Eunice.
Mm-hmm.
Mom was 5 foot, and I think Shorty was smaller than that. I guess that's why they call her Shorty. I was never told. And Doit, he had a job with I keep thinking I think he was a draftsman, but he worked for this oil company. or something. But anyway, they transferred him out to Denver, so that's where they went. But his parents lived here in Mount Vernon, and he was from Mount Vernon. I guess Shorty was from here too. No, she was Uncle Don, which he really wasn't my uncle. He was my second cousin, but we always just called him Uncle Don.
Mm-hmm.
They were brothers. What was the question? I already forgot.
Oh, I
already forgot what the question was.
you'd already answered. The question was if they could have their own kids, and you said that she couldn't.
No, see, Shorty and Joey had 3 boys, and they'd take us over there.
Now, I'm not quite understanding. Were they relatives or friends of the family?
He was on Dad's side of the family.
Uh-huh.
Because that was Dad's. He was my grandfather's brother's son.
That was Doit.
No, that was Shorty.
Okay, got it.
She had a brother named Bill.
Uh-huh.
He's buried over at the word that keeps popping in my head is Sycamore Lane, Richview. Well, they're in that cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the brother to my dad's. I can get this right. Dad's dad was Robert. And he had a brother named Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was your great uncle Bill was.
Yeah, I only met him once, maybe twice. He was in the same nursing home as my grandma, Kane, was.
Mm-hmm.
And her name was Nora. And they were buried over in Ashley. Very easy place to find. Some cemeteries have family buried as you gotta have a rule map.
Mm-hmm. You ready for another question?
Yeah.
All right, so this one's, tell me about the first time that you experienced death and how did it impact you? Do you remember the first time?
I went over, these was friends of the family, and we'd go over there, Dad would, he'd take us with him. And he had a big pond back there. I think it had crappie in it. And Dad would go fishing. Well, they had a son, and he was always talking about Jesus and the Bible, and he was reading it out, and he said, yeah, he says, he had something terminal. He died, I think he was around 12 years old. That's the first time I experienced, but it didn't really bother me that much. What really hit me hard was when my mom died.
Mm-hmm.
But I experienced my grandma Clara's death, my grandpa Bill. I was kind of shook up a little bit then, but not near as much. Because he was, what was strange about that was, I saw him the day before he died, and he was jovial and happy-go-lucky, you know. And the next day, he's dead. They always say you feel really good the day you die.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what, he had black lung disease, because he used to be a coal miner.
Oh.
All down there under Ziegler and Christopher and Susser. It's all mining. But that's what he used to do.
Hmm.
He used to go down there on my spring break and spend the entire week with him. Bob, he never would go. He'd stay home. Mom always said, you need to spend time with him. Yeah. I did.
So I might actually just go ahead and do most of these, and then some of them
Okay.
I'll save. All right, so this is going to be like kind of a quick little favorites section. All right, so do you remember any of your favorite shows as a kid?
Let's just say, used to watch Sky King,
Mm-hmm.
Roy Rogers show, Quick Draw McGraw. Uh, used to watch westerns. They had a lot of on Saturday. That's what they played was westerns.
Now, is that something that you watched with grandpa or grandma? Or did you just kind of watch them with,
I
like, by
just watched
yourself?
them at home.
Mm-hmm.
No, we talked down there. You know what was going on in school. He died the year that I was going to go into 8th grade. That's when he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both buried down there in Herring in that cemetery.
Oh, okay. Do you have a favorite show now? Or it can be a handful of shows if you want.
Well, I watch all those Snapped and what's that other one? Forensic Files. I like to watch that. I watch Baseball Tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see what else. I think that's pretty much it. I'm not watch on TV anymore.
Other than the Booby Show, of course.
Yeah, I forgot all about that one. Yeah, she's just recording new ones now.
Oh. Do you have a favorite flower?
Petunia.
Is there a certain color of petunia that you like?
There's a light yellow one I like. I like I guess they're kind of a bluish purple.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably my two favorite ones.
Okay. Do you have a favorite decade and why?
Favorite decade? Probably I guess it would be 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was when gas was still cheap.
Oh, is that what we're basing it on?
No, me and my friends would, on the weekends, we'd drive around town.
Oh, okay.
$5 back then would last you all week.
Right.
And we'd go out and hang out at the bowling alley. And me and my friend Ben, they're at 10th and Harrison. There's a parking lot right there. We used to park. We finally got tired of driving around. So we'd park in there. And every once in a while, some of our other friends would go, "Yeah, what you got to? Oh, we're just driving around." I said, "You can only do that so often." I said, "You have to stop." I said, "Really? There's nothing to do." Because the old slogan was, once it gets dark, they roll up sidewalks and there's nothing to do. It's still that way, and this is 40 years later.
Wait, you said roll up the sidewalks?
It was a phrase.
Oh, okay.
You can't actually roll up sidewalks.
I mean, I wouldn't know. Because I know
well, that means when everybody else is home,
Uh-huh.
what is there to do? Because we go from the east, down there by the Dairy Queen, we drive all that to the other side of town. And of course, when we do that, they would be either north or south, or we crisscross one another. After about doing that a couple of times, we said, "Okay, enough is enough. We'll just let them follow, run into us."
Okay. What are some of your favorite stores as a kid?
Ben Franklin.
What was that?
Nickel and dime, what they called nickel
Yeah.
and dime store. Murphy's, which was the same way. Woolworth. We had Woolworth store in Mount Vernon 2 times, if not 3 times. Same way with Kroger. We've had Kroger 3 different times. But Murphy's, when you pull up to the courthouse, look to your right there where and that's where they was at. Ben Franklin's store, right before you go down the hill, it's set there on the left, second building to your left. Now they have some Christian place in there now, I think, or at least that's what the sign says. That was all. We go to P.N. Hirsch and Illinois Brokerage. Illinois Brokerage was just when you went to go south on 10th Street. It had that big fancy restaurant in there now. That's where the Illinois Broker was. It was a shoe store. It was really, really cheap, but good quality. Well, P.N. Hirsch was just, it wasn't next door to Ben Franklin, but they was like one building down from there. And they was a shoe store, but they also sold clothes. And they had, you could go down. Well, now you can't go down anymore because they closed the floor off. So, used to go to Western Auto. Bought a bicycle there one time. And then I give it to my friend Ivan Walker, and he had a little 20-inch one. And I had a 24-inch one. And we traded. Dad was pissed. He said, I said, well, I'm sorry. And so anyway, yeah, you get pissed off me too much until I got older. And we get into it from time to time.
About what?
About me not finishing projects. That was our last big argument. And he'd come over. That was back when me and Shelley was married. We just lived out west of Woodlawn. They're on the main highway. And he came over, he started this project for me to do because I wasn't working. I was on unemployment, but I wasn't working. Here, start this. Well, Dad was off on Wednesdays and he was off on Sundays. So then he'd come back over on Sunday, unless we came in and see them. And he'd start another project. I am not even halfway done to the first one. Now he's got me to do it on the second one. Following week, he's back again. Yeah, you need to do this. So now I'm on my third project. I haven't finished my first one yet.
Abby, get in your bed.
And I barely touched the second one. Now he's done this like I've got 5 projects going all at once. And he wants to know why I don't have any of them done. I said, well, because every time you come out here, you give me a new project. I said, let me finish those first. So anyway, he shows up with a live baby pig. It was about this high. I looked at that and I said, what in the Sam Hill am I supposed to do with that? Well, you like pigs. That was when I'd already started collecting my pig figurines.
Mm-hmm.
I said, not live pigs. I said, what am I supposed to do with that? I said, I have no place to put it at, Dad. Well, there was an old shed out there, but had more escape routes and entrances. So I said, okay, fine. You gonna bring me a pig? I will get another pig. Next thing I know, I've got half a dozen pigs. And they had an old, what we call the oil pond. It was where the oil tanks would sit. And you get the sludge off of it. And the pigs would get in there and roll around in it. Stink. But it kept the lights off of them. Because Dad remembered he used to be he'd see a pig and he'd have some old motor oil and he'd walk up to the pig and pour the oil right down his back. And then that's how to get the lice off. But anyway, we jumped way ahead. What was the last question? Oh, what decade? Oh no, you was asking me what stores.
Yeah. So you already. Did you
Yeah.
have any other stores that you wanted to talk about?
No, that's pretty much it. There really wasn't a lot of, stores for kids back then,
Mm-hmm.
except for Murphy's. Murphy's store creaked when you walked on 'em.
Yeah.
But we go in Ben Franklin's store. Dad got into it with me another time because I went into this non-union toy store, and he was union. And the guy that run this, he was located down there where my lawyer was at in that building. And at one time, Carp's department store was in there. And then I think somebody bought them out. And they moved out to where Walmart used to be. And I remember that was all woods. And they cleared it all out. You couldn't see the front because it still had wood, but back behind, they bulldozed them out and started building it. And then they got bought out by Walmart. I think the store was called More Value, MOHR. Used to have an ice cream plant here in Mount Vernon too. It caught on fire. I remember walking by it after it burned. I mean, the building was still there, but the inside of it was all burned out.
Yeah. You ready for another question?
Yeah.
Okay. What were some of your favorite bands growing up?
Ray Conniff. Talking about national bands?
It don't matter.
Because most of the bands had already kind of went their separate way.
Well, that doesn't matter.
I liked listening to Glenn Miller. That was, I think it's Percy. He was like Ray Conniff. He was kind of, they had singers and they had the band, or it was an orchestra, I think, and they would play songs. I think it's Percy, but yet the more I think about it, that don't sound right. I think they've been gone a long time ago. Mom used to watch the Lawrence Welk show.
The what?
Lawrence Welk.
What was that?
It was kind of like the big bands, except they'd have bubbles. They had a bubble machine. Used to watch Ted Mack Amateur Hour, brought to you by Geritol. And it was a talent show where you can go on and do your thing. And I think you won something at the end. I can't remember what it was. Used to watch that all the time. Used to watch Ed Sullivan show. That was for those who had graduated from Ted Mack's into a little bit the next echelon up. You kind of hit it big, but not too big. I mean, the Beatles was on there. I remember that when they first came to the United States. And we watched Carol Burnett's show. He was kind of a variety show. He'd put on skits and a little of this, a little of that. And then once a year we'd watch Miss Universe and Miss America pageant. Had to watch that. So if she watched that, meant the rest of us had to watch it.
Did you guys just have one TV?
Yep. I remember some of them. They had one about this wide, about this high, and it was black. think that was our black and white one before Dad finally got us the colored one. We usually got the console TVs, not like they didn't have these.
Yeah.
And you got TV, you got a TV. So some of them was like this wide, about this high. Oh, there.
Speaking of TVs. All right, so I know you already talked about a little of it, but was there anything else that you did for fun or when you were bored as a kid?
Rode bicycles.
Rode bicycles?
We rode bicycles everywhere. There for a while, for about a month. We ride our bicycles, me and Ben and Mark. Mark was our next door neighbor. And Mark Fisher. We'd get on our bicycles and we'd go all the way out to the farm, which was way down past McClellan, about a mile past McClellan School. There on 148. And there for a few times, Dad let us sleep over like a camp out. And that ended when somebody said we was throwing rocks. I said, we wasn't throwing any rocks. He said, well, he said, somebody went by and said a rock hit the side of the car. And I said, I wouldn't know about that. But we did that, but we rode bicycles all over the place. Back over there behind the rail car shops. Rode all back in there. Rode up there to bowling alley, down to the bluffs. We used to go down there and climb the bluffs, which was fun.
Yeah.
Because the first 5 or 6 foot was shale. Nothing but shale. And after that, you had clay. The fun was getting up over the shells. Because every time you step down, they'd crumble. They'd fall down. And a few times we went swimming because it always was full of water in certain areas. I went down there one time and it had been raining. And dummy me went down there and then I couldn't get back up. The rain was just pouring down, I think, and the water was coming down. It kept getting higher and higher, and I was sitting there and, I told one, I said, go get some help. So then by the time help got there, I had finally gotten out.
Oh.
But once you got up over the top of the scale, you'd have to dig out the scales for a footprint with your foot. And that's how you got up it. But if you didn't get it right, you'd fall down and have to start all over again. But once you got up into the clay, you had to do the same thing. You had to cut a foot thing and then just slowly go up the cliffs.
Now, you can't swim either, can you?
No.
So you would have died if you couldn't have gotten up.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now it's all junk down in there now.
Now, where is this at? Or was?
You know where Mom and Dad's house is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you go up over the railroad tracks. And as soon as you go across the railroad tracks, that is 4th Street. No. That's 5th Street. Turn to your left. You go up there good 2 miles. And you go up there far enough, 5th Street curls back across railroad tracks. Well, right there on the right, that's where the bluffs was at. But you had to walk it out back in there about 40 or 50 feet before you could actually see the bluffs. It's all grown up and trashy, and people start taking their cars down there and their junk and it's tossing it off. That was TC Creek. They said there was a lot of Indian heads down there, but I never did find any.
Did you have any nicknames growing up?
The only nickname I had was from Uncle Harold. He called me Jimbo. That was pretty much it.
Okay.
Oh no, friend of mine, Craig Sinclair, he called me Sugar.
Sugar?
Yeah. Throughout as we was in the band together. We sat usually side by side because we both played the same instrument. Every time he said, "Hey Jim, hey Sugar." So that was the only two nicknames I can remember.
Do you have any specific memories other than what you've talked about from your childhood that stand out?
No, not really. Well, I remember meeting these two girls. We was out the bowling alley, and they wasn't Mennonites. They was some other faith. And I liked this one. She was gorgeous, had blonde hair. And then she had a friend. She had blonde hair, but she was a little bit shorter. And I asked her out for a date. Nah, can't do that. I said, why is that wrong with me? And she said, no, it had nothing to do with you. She said, I'm just not allowed to. That went on for about a month or so. All of a sudden, she quit coming out. And her friend, she got pregnant by a friend of mine. So I told her, I said, oh, you can change space. She said, well, no, you can't even do that. No, she said, you can't do that. I said, okay.
What are some things that you guys did as a family?
Didn't do too much by the family because we go out to Kansas once a year or once every other year because every other year they would come to our house. But we used to go out there like every other year. It's a good 8-hour drive. But other than that,
Go out where?
out to Kansas.
What was in Kansas?
My dad's brother, Uncle Harold.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever meet him?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think I've really met anyone on your side of the family other than like Uncle Bob and them.
I could have sworn that you, because they was here for Christmas.
How old would I have been?
You've been in your teens, at least.
Yeah, the only people I ever remember coming over is like Grandma and Grandpa Garrett and Uncle Jim. Right.
This was shortly after me and your mom got married.
Well, I wasn't born for like 3 years after, or 4 years after you guys got
Dad
married.
was still around. But we was at Bob's house.
Maybe Sarah was a teenager.
I can't remember back that far.
But no, I don't think I've met him.
Well, anyway, he's gone now.
Oh, okay.
Aunt Mabel's gone now too.
How would others have described you in school?
Boring.
Boring. Why is that the first thing that comes to your head?
No, that's just, I didn't really go out and do much of anything else. I was just kind of blasé,
Oh, okay.
dull.
So we've already kind of hit on that next question. What sports and extracurricular activities did you participate in?
Marching band, football games, basketball games. They had a big loft up in the old high school gym. And that's where we played at during halftime and the end of games. What was the other part of that?
Oh, no, that was it. Just
Oh.
what did you participate in, sports or extracurriculars? Anything
No,
other
I wanted to go out and play football. And Dad says, you ain't going out there and have your teeth busted out. He said, I spent a fortune on them teeth.
Mm-hmm. Walk me through a typical school day.
Boy, you're really asking for
I
something.
really am, huh?
What school?
It doesn't matter. Just whatever.
Well, that is a good. Oh, I can do that.
It's okay if you can't.
I know at junior high school, when I went, they didn't have all those other buildings. They didn't have the walkway across the highway. And they didn't have that back section. It was just the original one. Well, you go through the front doors. I think you had to go up the flight of stairs. And then you go from the first floor to the third floor, back down to the second story. You just, depending on where your classes was, you was just constantly. Then you had your own home. You had your home room, which was they'd assign you a room. And well, in the morning, that's where you go first. You couldn't leave until everybody got there and they checked in. That was in junior high school.
Yeah.
The high school, you'd have a class in one building, and you had to walk to another building, and the next class would be possibly in another building, and then you'd end up back in your original building, and then you could walk all the way across the road to each building, which was the newest one. It's still there. And you'd have a couple classes in there, then end up back into your original building. You was just always going from building to building to building. Depends on, where the class was at.
Okay. Describe the home, or you can do multiple if you had multiple, but describe the homes that you grew up in.
I grew up in one.
Even though I've seen it, just kind of describe it.
It's an old house. Looks like shit now.
We're not talking about now. What it looked like back then.
Well, you walked into the living room, had a big living room, had a big old mirror. That's not quite as big as that screen is on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to that one either. It disappeared. And then Mom's couch and chairs there. That's where we put the Christmas tree at there in that left corner when you first walk in. And you walk into that, what we call middle room, was where the fireplace, or not the fireplace. Well, I guess it was fireplace. Dad had put that in himself. And that's where they would sit. If there wasn't a living room, that's where you'd find them sitting in there on a couch. Usually a sofa bed. They'd sit there and watch the fire burn. And you went into the kitchen. And Mom had plates on that one wall where the stove was at. Mold plates. Then that closet thing that I've got that we keep our towels and stuff in, that used to sit right there on the right. You walk into the kitchen, you hang a right. Bathroom is down there, right off the bathroom. Then right before you walked into the bathroom, that's where that closet thing. And then if you turned there at the closet and took a couple steps, you was in their bedroom. And then before that, you walk into the kitchen. And where the kitchen table used to sit, you could look to your right and had a door, and that took you downstairs. And that's where Dad used to keep when he used to get coal. And it was my job to fill up the hopper, which was about this big square. And had an auger thing in the bottom of it. And that's how it took the coal right into the fire. But it was the warmest heat. There was an even heat. It would come up through the registers. And then we take what they call the clinkers, out back here back in the alley. That's where I planted my first garden at. Back here where those old clinkers was, and boy did they grow.
So, I seem to, which I was little whenever we like stayed there for that little bit, but I seem to remember some kind of, was there like a little compartment near that fireplace? I seem to remember something.
Where you could get back in behind it.
Because I remember playing in there and thinking it was like a big old secret hideout.
Oh, I don't remember you ever playing in there. Yeah, it was, I'm not really sure what it was there for.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was, because I know the front of it's covered up with that fake brick paneling stuff.
Maybe people just hid out in there.
Yeah, could be.
Now you had a basement too there, didn't you?
Yeah. I walked into one of them beams down there too. It is not a good thing to do because this was a seasoned oak. This big. It hit you just, you had to duck down about an inch or two to clear it. Well, I wasn't paying attention, forgot to duck. And I hit that and I said, oh, oh my goodness. After that, I remembered to duck.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I had that the back door going out the basement. That's where mom did her laundry. She also did her canning. She had an old, as far as I know, it's still there. It's an old propane. Well, it wasn't propane, it was gas back then because they didn't have propane. And that's where mom did all the canning. Because of that, even in the, it could be 100 degrees outside and it was nice and cool in that basement. But she'd sit there all during the day, canned green beans. She loved doing canned peaches. And then she had a thing back, way to the back. That's where she canned them at. Or that's where she stored them.
Mm-hmm. Did you and Uncle Bob have different rooms? I can't remember like how many bedrooms there were in the place.
Well, there was one true bedroom. Me and my brother kind of shared it because we had, when Dad added on to the porch, it used to just be a back porch back there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we get old enough, we're too old to stay together because that's that old bed of mine.
Yeah.
That used to, when you first walked out, they'd sit there on the left. And then Dad decided to build it. I remember doing that. But we poured our own concrete, which was fun. And we also built our own, what do they call it? Forms that you poured concrete into.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it, he didn't have secured that good, I guess, but it kind of swelled out. Yeah, I remember building that. Bob didn't help a bit, but me and Dad did.
Were your parents strict? And if so, explain how they were.
They was strict, but not that strict, meaning that Mom didn't care where you went as long as you stayed out of trouble. And Dad's was, when the street lights came on, you had to be either in our yard or in the adjacent neighbor's yard.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother made a mistake one time of not doing it. And my dad escorted him home from he was over in the schoolyard in the back. And you had to be able to hear his voice. And he finally asked me, he said, "Where's your brother at?" And I said, "Last time I saw him, he was over on the other side of school." Okay. He walked over there, grabbed my brother, grabbed the bicycle he had, and as my brother pushed the bicycle, Dad went, whoop, whoop, whoop. After that, the street lights come on, Bob was home.
He had a bruised butt to remind me of that.
But Dad spanked him all the way home.
I remember one time you told me about. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like you said that your mom hit him with a frying pan one time.
No, that was my Shelly's mom.
Oh, okay. Um, what toys were popular when you were a kid?
The original G.I. Joes, which was, they were about this high, about a foot tall, 10 inches, something like that. And with my mom, I did get some clothes. I had a U.S. Marine dress outfit and some fatigues that went on them. And then mom made me some clothes for them. Then I started using them as superheroes. I'd make my own cape and stuff. But in the summertime, we was not allowed to stay in the house whatsoever. She'd say, out, 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 just get out. And I had this moon base built in our basement, back where the coal mine, the coal bin used to be. And it was all cleaned out. It was white. And I got this big piece of plywood, poured in a whole bunch of, I don't know how many buckets of sand. And I had some models of the lunar module and stuff, and I had them scattered down through there. And we sneaked. We went out of the house, came back around, sneaked back into the basement, went in there, and we was back here playing on the moon base. Somewhere or another, Mom heard us. She said, out! Better not catch you back in here today. Then after that, I took out the moon base and put in my racetrack. I'd go down there and sit there for hours and run those race cars. That's about the only thing I ever put down in there. But Mom, no, summertime. If it was nice outside, you went outside. She said, "Get on your bicycle, out. Better not get you back in there either. I'll call your dad."
No sneaking in the basement.
Yeah, we knew we didn't want Dad coming home. He did come home for me one time. But I raised my arm up like that to my mom. And she called him. He said, okay. He said, as soon as I get done with this customer, I'll be home. He did. As soon as he finished, he came home. He whipped the living shit out of me.
So, side note, where did your dad work? And did your mom have any jobs?
Mom, when she worked there towards the last. She worked across the street at the cafeteria at Franklin School.
Uh-huh.
And that was after me and Bob both had left. We was already past that.
So before that, she didn't work while they were married?
She did housework at home.
Okay. And then what all jobs did he have?
Barber.
He was only a barber the whole time?
Yep.
And he owned his own business, didn't he? Or no?
At one time, where the big glass bank is.
Yeah.
That parking lot that's back there,
mm-hmm.
That's where his barbershop used to be. And they got bought out. And I remember moving from that building to the next building. I don't really remember what the old building looked like. Just remember when they moved it. And they had 3 barbers in there. Him, Bob Waller, and Ralph Baskin. Ralph was the first one, Dad was in the middle one, and Bob was the last barber. And he was always busy.
Other than pigs, did you collect anything as a kid?
Models, certain kind of models I did.
Mm-hmm.
Not that many. Besides the lunar module, and that was pretty much it. I had the Saturn V rocket one time. It was about this high. I put it together. And it eventually ended up being multiple other models that I made. I made one with a space. I used part of it for the space station I built, and I bought some other model rockets and took those parts and put them on another part and made different kind of spaceships out of them. That's pretty much it.
So it sounds like you had a pretty big fascination for space. You said you had a little moon base, spaceships.
Yeah.
You just liked space and all that.
Well, that for a while, then I got off of that. I started doing my race cars.
Okay.
The original racetrack belonged to me and Bob together. But then Bob gave it up. So I took it over. And I kept adding to it. I'm still adding to it. Because I bought some 2 or 3 new power packs. Because the power pack only extends the electricity out so far to the racetrack, and you have to add on to it.
Yeah.
I've added, I don't know how much track. I probably got enough racetrack to go all the way around your house.
Oh, okay.
And I've added a shitload of cars. It's probably double. Because you used to just have one. You could get a plastic case that held all your cars in it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd hold like 8, I think. I got like 3 of those now. And then I started buying the individual parts. And I can build a car cheaper than I can go buy one. But it's hard to find the chassis.
Oh, okay. Did you have any pets growing up?
Yep.
Do you remember any of them?
First one was Squeaky. She was the black cat. And I treated her horribly. I don't know whatever happened to her. She's just disappeared. Mom used to say I'd grab her tail, swing her around and stuff like that. And I said, I don't remember that bitch. Yeah, you did. And after that, I had...
Do you know, real quick, how old you would have been when you had that cat?
Probably somewhere between 4 and 6.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing. Then I went to Teddy, which was a white dog. I barely remember him. We had him kept up right behind the garage that Mom went through. Came out on the other side. Because you couldn't really put a car in it because it was made for those old cars in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere, it used to have garage doors on. The garage doors were still on because they was swung out and then secured. But anyway, we had Teddy. After that, we had another dog of mine was Patsy, and I had to put her down because she got a sore in her leg and she kept gnawing at it. And the doctor said, you probably ought to just have her put down. And I was kind of a little saddened by that. She's buried. She'd been buried in a cardboard box. And I knew where she was at, so I dug her up. Surprisingly, the cardboard box was halfway still intact. So then I built her a coffin made out of 2x6s. 2x6 about this thick.
Mm-hmm.
And I put her down in there and I sealed it all up. I took her out there where me and Shelley used to live, out there at the house. I know the vicinity, but without having a metal detector, I'd never be able to find it. I always took it, and I still believe that animals have spirits. And then when they die, they go to their own separate heaven, where they just run wild, run free, and play, and get along with one another. So I figured, okay, I'll take her out there and Chris Bear can run free. She's been out there for 40 years, close to it. Then we had Apache, like the Indian Apache.
Mm-hmm.
It was a part bulldog and part Boston Terrier. Friendly little booger. We didn't have him very long. He disappeared, and we found him way up past the bluffs. And what had happened was he was very friendly. He went home with some kid he started following, and that's where he ended up at. So we got him back, and didn't have him back too long, about a month or so, and he disappeared again. Never did find out what happened to him. He was black and white. Let's see, after Apache. I think Apache was probably the last one. It was back in the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I just finally give up on dogs. But I can't remember.
I remember you telling me about those cats that you and Shelly had.
Oh, I forgot about them. Muffin. Yeah. Muffin and Shelly's girlfriend. He'd drive her nuts. And how in the Sam Hill he got underneath that couch? That couch was about this high up off the floor. And he'd be running around, not bothering anything. All of a sudden, he'd disappear. That's when you had to watch, because he'd go underneath the chair, the couch. And when her name was Kathy Hart. But he didn't do it to anybody else, just her. And all of a sudden, he'd start doing that to her ankle. She'd do this, put her ankle down, he'd do it again. And then after a while, then he'd climb up the back of the couch and sit there and do her hair in her ear. She finally quit coming over. She said, "That daggum cat drives me nuts." I said, "I know." I said, "He must not like you or like you a lot, because," I said, "you're the only one that ever does it." I said, "We've had all kinds of people going. He won't do anything to them." He did that for the long. I mean, you guarantee. She come in there toward the end. She said, "Where's Cat?" "Oh, he's back here." "You lock him in the room?" I said, "I ain't gonna lock him in the room. He'll chill it." But he ended up running off. He's one of the dumbest cats. And then we had a solid white one that some old lady given us. She was blind, and she couldn't take care of it anymore, so we ended up with it. We figured, okay, we'll have black boy, white girl, black and white kittens.
Mm-hmm.
Not one kitten we ever get from her. But she would like to play with a mouse. Instead of eating it or taking it outside, she'd sit there in the room and go. The mouse would be flipping around. I said, "Okay, enough of this bullshit. Ain't doing this." I think we give the white cat away.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else. When Muffin disappeared, it was cold outside. We got about 5 or 6 inches of snow.
Mm-hmm.
And had a little small doghouse. So I insulated it. I mean, insulated it with the regular insulation. Closed it all in, He was outside, sitting there shivering and shaking, wanting in. I said, "You ain't coming in." I said, "But I'll do the next best thing." So I put him in this little doghouse after I insulated it, sealed him up inside. He was in there about 24 hours, I guess. And I let him out, and he disappeared. He never did come back. Anyway, okay, what was the next question?
What kind of chores did you do around the house and yard as a kid?
I mowed the yard with one of them old metal ones at first. That has the blade that goes around.
Mm-hmm.
Did that for a while. I raked the yard. I filled and emptied the clinkers and put in coal in the hopper for the stove or for the furnace. And Dad finally got a power mower, and that's when I get to mow that. That's pretty much it.
Now, did Uncle Bob have the same chores or different?
No, I don't think he had any chores.
Oh, really?
He might have mowed the yard. See, our backyard was like this.
That was the hill, right?
Yeah. In the wintertime, we'd have a blast back there.
I bet.
Because you'd start there at the top. Well, when you got almost to the end of it, on the right side, it went off like this. You'd be coming down like this and then just drop it.
Mm.
So it was kind of off to the side. I went off that a few times. It was first time it scared the shit out of me. Second time, yeah, I think I'll do that again. But then in the next yard down to the right, some old lady, she had a vineyard in there. Every time we end up, she says, "Now look," she said, "I don't care if you end up down here, just don't hit my wine or my grapes." Never did come close. And right when you come down the hill, right in the center was a mulberry tree, but very big, but that's big around. You had to miss that. If you hit that, you knew about it. Because we had those old-fashioned kind of slides that had a little handle thing. You could do it this way or this way, and it shoots you to left or right. Yeah, we can get about 6 or 7 kids back there, and we just go flying down that hill. Especially the round ones, because you had no control over those whatsoever. You could go be doing like this or around and around all the way down. But I had one that was like 100 and some odd years old that I think my grandpa Bill gave me. It was his when he was a kid. That's how I got that.
Do you want a water?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sharing.
Okay.
I rarely drink water.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I get a thirst for it, and then I can't get enough water.
Mm-hmm.
But most now I don't drink water. I eat ice.
Oh. Did you and your family take any vacations like other than Kansas?
Yeah, I think we took one. That was down at Gatlinburg. We went down into Cherokee Village. And I got one of those Indian headdresses that had rabbit feet hanging on it and around it. That was only one time.
What traditions did you guys have for the holidays? Like various holidays, not just Christmas.
We put up a real Christmas tree every single year, except for the one year that Dad got one. And we kind of hurt his feelings. I mean, this thing was a monster. Their ceilings was 10 foot tall. Dad came home with a 10-foot high tree. Now, they got a tree about this out, this wide. But the limbs was like this far apart. There was no density to it, just limbs. And I said, where in the hell did you get that damn thing? Oh, I got I said, how are we supposed to decorate that? There's no limbs except for the big ones that stick out. I said, there's nothing in between. He said, well, fine then. He took the tree down and hauled it off. He said, I'm done by it. He said, from now on, you can buy your own tree.
That kind of sounds like you.
I wouldn't have bought that tree myself.
Well, I don't mean the buying of the tree, but just being like, fine, I'll get rid of it then. What about for like Easter?
Oh, well,
Halloween?
at Christmas time, we never opened packages until Grandma and Grandpa got there.
On Christmas morning?
Yes. We made the mistake of one time opening it because it was bad outside. It snowed, it sleeted, horrible weather to be traveling. And we opened the packages. About 30 minutes later, they showed up. He was kind of, well, you knew he, well, we didn't think you was coming. You know, you didn't tell us that you was coming, and it's bad weather. You shouldn't have come. But they didn't read. When we was little, we didn't read. I don't remember that many that they actually wrapped. I mean, I got a big metal truck, about this big. They didn't wrap that. A Lionel train set, had it all put up. Didn't wrap that one. Got a semi made out of metal. It was about this long. They didn't wrap that. Had a jumping horse one time, like what bought, like Dalton, like Matt and Sarah had, and that was about the only. They got me a basketball one time, and as soon as I picked, they handed it to me. I knew it wasn't one I wanted. She said, "What's wrong with it?" I said, "It's what they call a balloon ball. It's not heavy. It's a lightweight one, and when you bounce it, you can hear this bing, 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 because it was cheap, but as cheap a basketball as you can get." He said, "Okay." He said, "We'll just take it back." I said, "Okay." We took it back and got a regular one. I said, "See the difference?" He said, "Oh." He said, "Oh." He said, "I never even thought about that." I said, "Now you know." Oh, we also played basketball behind the garage. We had our own little tournament. It was back there where the dogs used to be. And we had a goal up on the back of the building, and we would play basketball. We keep records of on the wall. I made some little cards that we'd hang up there on how many wins you lost and how many times you won, and we'd do that. And the one time the wall, it used, I guess it still has, it was a stone wall, and that's what kept the yard from washing out. They had built this wall, and the front half was all solid concrete. It was like a regular wall, but in the back, you'd stack them. Well, one year we had a lot of rain, and off it went. So I remember helping him do that, and we tilted them backwards so they wouldn't fall forward. But they was those daggone stones about yay thick, about like this. And then Dad had one time when that wall fell over. It didn't go all the way over, it was over like this. And we got some big posts set in the ground, set in the concrete, that we'd raised it back up so it couldn't roll over again. And then the old garage, he was constantly fixing. There was a little walkway between where you come out of the back basement and to the garage. He put an overhang, and it was always rotting out, but it was flat. Well, and then there for a while, the floor in there was dirt. So we cleaned it out one time. That had a whole bunch of bricks, so we put a brick floor in it. And then Mom always hung her clothes out on the clothesline. And at the end of the clothesline was the cherry trees. When the springtime came and the cherries came on, we go out there and I go out and pick her some cherries, bring them in. That's why they call them pie cherries. They're also called sour cherries.
Mm. Okay, that's a perfect transition, Dad, because the next one's about food.
Oh.
Okay. What meals would be in your family's cookbook? What meals make you nostalgic for your childhood?
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake?
Cream cake or cream pie.
Mm-hmm.
uh, chocolate pie, as long as it wasn't Gravy Train.
Oh.
Boy, was I upset over that. She had never let the pie out before. Never. She always put it in the refrigerator. Our slogan at the kitchen table was, you get it now, but you may not get it again. And when Mom made pies, usually if you didn't get it then, you wasn't going to get any of it. Because it would just disappear.
Uh-huh.
We'd eat it. Well, about once or a few times a year, Mom would make this cream pie. It just, I think I found a recipe for it at home on the computer. And every once in a while, Mom would make a cheesecake. I mean, that cheesecake was about this thick, light, fluffy. I could sit there and eat all of that cake. But it was in one of those 11 to 13 pans.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd sprinkle graham crumbs on top of it. But anyway, she made this chocolate pie, homemade chocolate pie. Not like like the pudding ones now. Just she made one. And so instead of sitting in the refrigerator, she sat on top of the stove. So I woke up, I went to that, another piece of chocolate pie, that was my favorite one. I took about one bite and I said, God, what in the sand hell? She said, I can't remember if it was Mom or Dad. One of them said, well, that's Gravy Train. I said, what the sand hell is sitting on the stove for? I said, I thought it was chocolate pie. I said, that's the most disgusting stuff. If I was a dog, I wouldn't eat that. I was really hard up. She said, well, we figured you know the difference. I said, no. Why would I know the difference between it? Looks just like chocolate pie. You put it in a pie pan. I know on Sundays we had roast pretty much every Sunday. We'd have roast and potatoes and carrots, some onions, some fatback. That's what they call it. You can't even get it now. On the back of the bacon, you'd have a rind. You'd shave that off, about this thing, and you throw it in with your green beans and give it seasoning. You could eat it. It's kind of a spongy like. We'd have that. We'd come home from church. We'd always stop by King's Bakery, which was down there. You know where that new lawnmower place is down there?
Like near the Hucks going out of town?
No, I'm talking about on South 10th Street.
Mm-hmm.
You know where that old shopping center was?
Yeah, like Dobbs, you mean?
No, you're way down too far.
Oh, well.
You're no longer on South 10th Street, then you're on 37. 10th Street stops down there at that truck stop, at that signal where you turn to the right.
Veterans.
Yeah, Veterans. That's where South 10th Street.
Oh.
No,
Well, no.
they have it's an outdoor place down there, and they work on your lawnmowers, and they sell you lawnmowers and chainsaws and riders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's where King's Bakery used to go. And boy, you go by there and you'd smell it, and every once in a while Mom would get some, what do they call, cheese puffs. They were long, you can get them out there at Walmart. But the whipped cream isn't as good as it used to be. They had regular whipped cream in it. They just melt in your mouth as soon as you start eating them. We get those because she loved them and I did too. But you walk in there and as soon as you open the door, it hits you like a rock. They'd have pies in there and cakes in there. And they didn't have refrigerators. They just set out on shelves. But anyway, we'd stop by there every once in a while, go in there. We go home, we'd eat. Of course, Dad always butchered a steer every year. He'd butcher steer, so we always had meat. I don't think he ever did butcher a pig that I can remember. I know he used to raise pigs. That was in that scrapbook that Bob has.
Oh.
It showed him and my grandpa James out there with the pigs.
Where'd they have pigs at? At that house?
At their old house, not the one they're at now, the old one that's back where my little school.
Mm.
It's no longer really there. That's one that Bob decided he wanted to put a basement under. And I said, "You're getting a fruitcake. How you plan on doing this? Shovel? You're going to dig out a basement with a shovel?" I said, "How you going to hold that up?" "What do you mean hold it up?" I said, "Well, if you start digging, what are you going to do with the house?" "Leave it there." I said, "Now wait a minute. The house sits on a foundation, right?" "Yeah." I said, "So how are you going to dig underneath the foundation and not have the house come down on top of your ass?" "Oh, I hadn't thought about that." I said, "Bingo." I said, "And when you get ready to dig it, don't call me because I'm not coming out there." I said, "You know how long it's going to take you to dig that out 6 foot deep?" "No, shouldn't take that long." I said, "God."
Maybe that's where Dalton gets it.
It must be, even though we're not related. I said, "You can't do that. You'd have to run the steel beams all the way across that house to hold it up and then dig it. And you sure as hell ain't going to dig it with a shovel and bucket. A 1 5-gallon bucket. I see you'd have to dig it out with a backhoe. And then go in there and straighten it all out with a shovel." He never did do it. Bob always started talking about doing something, never would do it.
Oh.
He asked me to come out and help him put in a fence. I said, "Whenever you're ready, just let me know." He never did call me. Of course, Dad had some land back in there where he had cows at. And had doubled it in size when he bought this other section next door. And he always run a fence down through it to divide it. Or one side had a pond on it, the other side was just pasture. But the fence had pretty much fell down. Bob was going to put a new one down in there. I said, "No, I had no problem with it." "Yeah, I'd be more than happy to do it."
You ready for another question?
Yeah.
Did you have a trickster in your family? Like anyone who played jokes on someone?
The only jokester we had was Danny. And he used to play a trick on my mom. She didn't like it, but he thought it was hilarious, and everybody else thought it was hilarious, but she didn't. Every time we get ready to leave, this was out in Kansas. And it was Patty's husband, Danny Hartung. He's gone now. She'd be all dressed, ready to go. We'd be out there saying goodbye. He'd sneak up behind her and pick her up and carry her off and drop her into the pool. Clothes on and everything. Because they had one of them swimming pools, that you can build yourself about this high. Oh yeah, he'd do that just about every time. She started looking. She said, "Okay, where's Danny at?" He said, "Anybody over there?" "Where's Danny at?" I said, "He's still standing right over there." Somewhere or another, from one time to look, he'd sneak around all the way around the house, come up behind her and carry her off. No. Boy, was she upset. "I just got done putting on these clothes. Now look at him. Now what am I supposed to wear?"
How was your relationship with Uncle Bob?
Now or then?
Well, I know now. Then
We didn't really hang around with one another. He'd go his way, I'd go my way. Because he never rode bicycles with us. He never played baseball with us. I think he played baseball with us once, maybe twice, over there in that schoolyard. That was when they had the one big giant tree right in the middle, and we play Indian baseball. If you know what that is.
No.
Okay, you take a regular sized baseball field, cut it right in half.
Mm-hmm.
So see, it curves around. Well, the tree was the middle mark. You play on one side. Okay, if it went over your head, that was a home run. You'd play the outfield. You'd mark off back where you going at. Anything over your head was a home run. If it went off to your right on to the other half of the field, that was a foul ball. It's kind of a condensed form.
Oh. Growing up, who inspired you most?
Inspired me for what?
Just of like who you wanted to be.
Nobody.
Okay.
I can remember.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Didn't have anything.
You didn't have anything you wanted to do?
Uh-uh.
What was your favorite subject in school?
History.
Did you have a favorite teacher?
And I see him from time to time. He was in my junior high school history teacher. Bob, what is his last name now? I keep thinking Bob Woods, and that ain't right. He's a color guy. He doesn't look like he's that old, but he's retired. He already has gray hair on him. He works out there. He's a volunteer out there at the Good Samaritan Hospital. Very friendly. And, oh yeah, I could sit in his class all during the day.
What'd he teach?
History.
Oh, okay.
American history.
What were you like in high school?
But the same as I was in all the others.
Oh, okay.
I said boring and dull. That was me.
Oh, okay. How would you describe your fashion sense in high school?
Well, this was more mom's fashion. You couldn't wear a green shirt with blue pair of pants.
Why?
She said they didn't go together. Also, if you had a hole in your pants, you wasn't going to wear them. Nowadays, a lot of these pants, you have more holes than you have pants.
Mm-hmm.
She'd have I just imagine what she'd say now.
Yeah. So what kind of stuff did you wear?
About what I wear now.
Just t-shirt and jeans?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Except on Sundays, when we went to church, had to dress up in a suit.
Like a full suit?
Yep. Didn't have a vest, but just
Yeah.
always had a suit. I hated sitting on the very front pew. But a lot of times we did. Because she was here, the preacher was here. He couldn't do anything. He had to sit there. Yeah, okay. Because every once in a while, he'd like, he'd look at you and like, I see you. And you just ugh. Mom said, yeah, she said, I don't even like sitting on the front pew. And I said, now you know how I feel. Because Dad usually would make us late and we'd end up having a...
Oh, you'd get stuck with the front seat?
Yes. Second row, not too bad. Third row is fine. First row, nope. I'll sit back here in the back.
Is that why whenever we used to go to church, you would always want to sit in the back?
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't want to sit in the front.
I can't get comfortable.
Uh-huh.
I'm too fidgety. I'm like, There's Mr. Clodfeller again. That's who our preacher was. If you'd miss a Sunday from coming, he'd come by your house and ask how you are. He's an old fashioned one. He's the only one I can remember ever having. Kind of tall. Guess he's probably about 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
But he would put you to sleep. But he'd start preaching and he just kept going and going and going and going. And his 30-minute speech would end up being 2 hours. What are you looking at?
I'm just checking the time because I'm going to stop it at 1.5 minutes and restart it. Not the whole thing, just start a new video. So I'm going to try and get through these last couple of questions before we got about 4 minutes for that.
Oh.
How old were you when you got your driver's license?
16.
What was your first car and how old were you when you got
My
it?
first car was a 1968 white Chevrolet Knotsback. They had Knotsbacks and they had fastbacks. Knotsbacks was when the top of the car come down, it just went like this and then it'd finish up. Fastback come across and just kind of angle down.
Okay.
That helped me get that car. He didn't pay for all that. I paid for half of it and he paid the other half.
And how old did you say you were when you got that?
About 16.
Okay.
I had a 68 and Bob had a 69.
Next question is, what was the most difficult part of your childhood?
I don't think I really had a difficult part of my childhood. We was pretty much easygoing. None of us was off in La La Land half the time. So it was just kind of pretty much a normal family. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. What do you miss most about the good old days?
My mom.
Your mom?
Yeah, I was close to my mom and dad. Bob was more close to dad and mom.
Why were you closer to Grandma?
I don't know. I guess I spent more time with her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was always there. A lot of times we'd talk. Saw her naked one time by my accident, and that was a little. I walked in on her because I didn't know she was even in there. She was sitting in the tub, and I was going in there for some reason. And I walked in, I said, "Oh!" I said, "Okay, I've already seen too much." She wasn't upset over it. She said, "Well," she said, "you probably should have knocked." I said, "I didn't think anybody was even in there." She said, "Well, from now on, if the door's closed and there's somebody in there."
Mm-hmm.
I stayed up one night. And I could have sworn there was somebody in the house other than us, because I was sitting there on the toilet. The door was like 3 foot in front of you. And I kept sitting there, and all of a sudden I started seeing this doorknob turn. I kept looking at it, and I said, "Is that turning, or is it just me?" No, that darn doorknob is. I kept waiting on somebody to walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody did, and I said, "Oh, that scared the shit out of me." Because I could have sworn to this day that doorknob was just, you could just barely see it moving. But then again, I kept staring. I couldn't keep my eyes off of it, so maybe that was part of it. Because I was tired.
That could be. Okay, I'm going to stop it for a second. You did this.
Nope, I confess, you did.
Okay. So the next section is about adulthood. Before we get into that, is there anything else from your childhood you wanted to talk about?
No, that don't mean I won't stick in something.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so walk me through some of the jobs that you had that are like memorable. This can include childhood too.
Besides mowing the yard, didn't have any. First place I started working, Dad decided he wanted me to go to barber school. And Mom kept trying to tell me, you're sending the wrong kid to barber school. Send Bob. Bob didn't want to go. So he's going. I didn't want to go either. But anyway, I went. And I had to take my brother Bob for the state exam, which means you had to shave him with a straight edge. Bob said he was a nervous wreck. He said, don't ask me to do this again. I'm not going to do it. So then I started working up there with his dad. And I'd get about, for every 10 or 15 customers I'd get one. I spent more time looking out the window. And it got to the point and said, Dad, I said, I'm done up here. I said, I can't get any customers. Well, you have some mind. I said, they don't want me to cut their hair. They want you to cut my hair. Oh, no. I said, okay, I'll give you another month. Next month, same old. I said, they don't let me cut their hair. They like the way you cut it. Which means they'll come in here with hair this long, and the time they get done, it's like this, because Dad would start talking. And the more he talked, the more he cut. You know, instead of something like, yep. I got one of Dad's customers, Dick, and he ended up being Art's father-in-law. You know, Shelley's brother Art.
Oh, okay. I was wondering who.
Yeah. Anyway, he married her daughter.
Okay.
Dick and his wife had 2 daughters. And the oldest one collected, I think she collected pigs too. And her pig, at the time, her collection was bigger than mine. But anyway, he said, yeah, he said, your dad, he said, the more he talks, the more he clips. I said, yeah, I noticed that. He said, yeah, he said, I like the way you cut my hair. He said, now on, you're my barber. I said, okay. I always left him about, half inch of hair. I said, you like that? Yeah, that looks great. Just the way I want it. I said, okay. But anyway.
What other jobs did you
After
have?
that, I went down to Precision National Corporation, which is down there where this other automotive place is.
Mm-hmm. What was it? Precision
National Corporation.
What'd you do there?
Well, first one, they had different sections down there. I hired on in the scrap. And if it was 20 degrees outside, it was 5 degrees where I worked. Because it was like a tunnel. It had a roof on it, and it was open on both ends. Because they would bring in, the locomotives would bring in cars, or they bring in old engines that they were scrapping out. And we'd scrap them out. And then they'd have metal, and you had to separate through those. And what was funny was you could separate it all, and then they'd dump it in the same daggum car together. They'd start at one end of the car, they'd go, then they'd come back and get some more metal. What's the point of separating it? You're putting it right back, putting it all back together again. They're all going to the same daggum smelter. And I was out there, and me and the boss there we never did hit it off until the other boss came in. He worked night shift, and you could get along with him fine. I mean, he was more considering, I guess, because the morning boss, when I hired on, I'd be down there separating metals, and two of the other guys that were supposed to be helping me was up on top throwing light bulbs down at me. And I told him about it. After that, And he didn't do anything to the guys. He said, oh, I can't believe it. No, no, no. I said, well, go down there and look. I said, there's light bulbs all over the place where they've been throwing them at me. But anyway, when we got, I can't think of the other guy's name right now. I did the other day, it popped into my head, but I can't remember him now. He was a younger guy. He used to be one of the workers down there, but they had hired him in as a boss. And we get on night times. Boy, was it cold. It was colder at nighttime than it was in daytime. But he'd come out and say, okay, boys, come in here and get warmed up. He said, it's too darn cold out here. So we go in there, and we liable to be in there an hour and a half talking and bullshitting and doing whatever we want to do inside the building. And he said, well, okay, I guess we better get back out and do some more. We go back out, wouldn't be out there about an hour or so. Yeah, it's too cold out here. Come on back in. That's the way our evenings. I mean, we got more done doing it that way than we ever did with the other guy. Because once you go out, you wouldn't come back in until lunchtime. But yeah, he was good. Every evening, do the same thing. Now I ended up getting injured down there because there was a place they bring in these wire coils, like from the generators and stuff like that. They were about this big around. And they had this big giant furnace. And you'd open up the big steel doors, and they had these big giant baskets about as big as your table was. Mm-hmm. And you put all this in there, all this wire and stuff. And you would push it into this furnace, shut the darn doors, and they had a little peephole like thing about this big around. You open it up, they had this stuff that you'd spray in there to keep the fire going. While I was doing it, all of a sudden it went kaboom. And next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. What happened? I don't know. I have no idea. So one of the people from down there said, yeah, he said, our furnace blew up. Well, you weren't supposed to be spraying that in there. And I said, we do it all the time. Always have had since I've been working down here. So they ended up finding out that something was wrong with the furnace. It had ignited while I was spraying this stuff in it. You're supposed to spray it in as it was burning. Mm-hmm. It just made it that much more hot. But anyway, then when you cook it, you bake it in there, cook it or whatever you want to call it, and then you pull it back out. You'd spray it down with water, cool it down, and they'd come in, pick it up, set it over on this stand. And then you, after it cooled off some more, you sit there and it just, basically the fiberglass would be like flakes. Mm-hmm. You just sit there and knock it off or scrape it off, and you separate it. Well, after that, they had me pulling the wire off the coils. And these was good sized coils. They was from the armatures, the part that moves, like on the locomotives that makes the tires, wheels go. Mm-hmm. That was the armatures.
So, what did you get injured?
That's where I got all these black marks on me.
Oh, it's just like a little bit of face stuff?
Yeah. Okay. Because I was standing about 2 feet in front of it when I was doing it. But I started doing that, and it was kind of in a little cubby hole, so a lot of the wind didn't get to me, but still cold. I had a big hook thing. You pull the wire loose, and you stick it in the hook. And then you bend it over, and you'd have a hoist and push the button, it'd just pull it right off. And that was an easy job. That was before they built the new salvage yard. They don't even know whether they even use the old one anymore. But it was more enclosed. Yeah, they used to bring in those locomotives and they had these big giant magnets. Magnets was twice the size of your fan over there. big giant dudes, like this big around. They'd, the guys would be up in the air and they'd have these chains come down and have a magnet. And they would have the guys who cut it, they'd come along and cut the chassis off the base, and then they'd pick it up, set it off the side, and they'd cut it up in pieces. And then they'd take the, usually when they brought them in, the engines was already out of them. So anyway, I did that for the first year, and then I had a chance to transfer. So they transferred me over to liner division. And that's where I spent the rest of the time with it. We electroplated chrome onto parts. And they had these big tanks and had this liquid chrome in it. And you would dump them down in there and you wire it all up. You wire it in reverse. That would draw the stuff to it. If you wanted to scrap it out, take the metal off of it, you did it the other way, and it would remove the chrome. But you had to put that in I think the caustic tank. It just eat the chrome right off. Because every once in a while you had to put caustic soda into it. It'd get weak, so they pour in some more. And from time to time you had to put in these little buckets of chromic acid. It was not quite as round, close, but almost as just basically your grill on that fan. That's how wide they was. And they was about this high. And you pop the top off of it, and you take it over there, and you had to pour it in there real slow, because otherwise they go kablooey. And you just pour it in there. Some guy brought in his car bumper one time, wanted it chrome plated. He set it up backwards. There wasn't anything left of the bumper. Boy, was he upset. But anyway, and then I went from there, still in liner division, then I become the, what was that called? Oh, I can't think about those. Basically, they would take the cylinders liner out after they put the chrome on it, and then they had certain my brain just went blank. Specifications on how much head I'll have on there. And hone operator. And I had these diamonds about the size of a what's that kind? Not Twix. What's that other candy bar? That's similar to that. Kit Kat. About those sizes. Like one piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have like about 5 or 6. And you glue them on there. And then you put it all together and you start it up and you start going down through there and you just grind that the rough stuff off. You get it down to they give you a thing about like a sort of like a what am I trying to think of? It kind of set up straight up, I guess. I had a thing that stuck out like this. And then on the top I had a gauge. You set it in there and you do it like that. They'd tell you, if that was the right specification line. You do it 2 different places. And if it did, then you take it out, put another one, and that's all you did. You just basically stood in one spot. And I went on to weekend shift. You worked 24 hours, got paid for 36. Because on the night shift, usually around 1 o'clock, they all went home. Bosses all went home. You was there all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Not just one person, but the shift, the others, people would be there. And they would go home. Then we got to doing pranks. I had this, what was left of the sludge that come off the chrome, or the chromic sludge from the home. They had a big storage tank. Every once in a while you had to clean that all out. And it was like, the one guy down there, he could do it, not get a drop on me. I have it all over me. But every once in a while, you, at least every 4 or 5 months, you had to clean it out because it get full. But anyway, if it got on your skin, you couldn't get it off. You had to let it wear off or use lava. But anyway, this one boss we used to love fucking with, they had a phone in the back where where they box them up, ship them out. And you could call from the back to the front. So somebody would go back there, and I'd sneak into the office, which was about 5 feet from me. There was a little walkway, and that was the office. So I'd get some of this sludge. I'd walk in there. I'd put it all over the earpiece, just smear it on there. And then, as soon as they saw me do it, they'd cough from the back. And of course, the office was always locked, but you could get in very easy. All you had to do is just put something in and pop it. It'd pop the office, pop right open. And the guy would come running around and he had them. I know one of you guys out here is done. If I ever find out who it is, then he kept looking at me and said, I know you did it. No. Anyway, the door's locked. We do that sometimes 2 or 3 times at night. He would just get pissed off, lock the darn door, and then it'd take him 5 minutes to get the darn door. He'd answer it and stick that up. We had one there one time when somebody hit it all down inside of his ear. He was pissed.
Did you work anywhere after that?
No, after that oh yeah, I could have went to Pennsylvania, and that was where the other one was at. They're their liner division. Or I could have went over the crankshaft division. They did the same thing over there we did, except they did it to their crankshafts.
Oh.
And these was big crankshafts. He was like almost as wide as that wall is right there, or as long, about this big around.
So how long did you work for that company overall? See, that's a good question. I can't remember. Let's see, I would say close to 10 years, 9 years, maybe 8, somewhere between 8 to 10 years. I started in 73. I was still there in 81 or 82, so yeah, they finally closed it down. He said, well, you can either quit or you can transfer. Where's transfer? Pennsylvania. I said, no, ain't going to Pennsylvania. He said, well, you've been a good worker. Thanks for helping us. They closed it down. Where'd you go to work after that?
Well, I think I went out there to Carter's Lumberyard the first time.
So after that, did you just like go back and forth between truck driving and Carter's?
Yeah. I ended up doing more out there at Carter than what was supposed to have been done. Mostly because Sonny would always disappear. And nobody could find where his hiding place was. But if he didn't want to do something, he'd go hide. And Craig, the boss, he'd come out and said, "Where's Sonny at?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I've noticed that you can never find him." I said, "Nobody can find him." I said, "I don't know where in the hell he finds where he hides at." I said, "But, when everything's done, he'll come back out." Here I am. I know he had us, he was supposed to be helping, or we were both supposed to be helping one another build these outside buildings, like storage buildings.
Mm-hmm.
They come in and it was basically a kit. They had the frames for them. Well, it was like a glorified truss. It did the bottom, they'd come up, and it'd do the tops. Well, you'd have to put them every so many inches apart. But you'd have to start on 4x4s. So I got to a point I could build one just about a day. So I'd be there once in a while. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I want you to build so and so." He said, "I know." I said, "Sonny's supposed to help you, but we all know about Sonny." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I ended up doing it by myself," and I always did. But anyway, I did that for a while until he finally stopped building them. He said, "Boy," he said, "you do a good job. How come you're so good?" I said, "You used to help my dad build stuff." He said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Well," he says, "I got another job for you." I said, "Okay, what?" He said, "I want you to build," and he took me around where he wanted it at. He said, "I want you to build a rack out there for garage doors." Okay. He said, "Sonny's supposed to be helping you." He said, "But," he said, "you're going to do the building, and Sonny's going to take care of your end of the customers." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, well, I know." It never worked out that way. I ended up having to climb out the darn thing I was building, which was a feat in itself. Go wait on the customers that Sonny was supposed to have been waiting on, but he disappeared yet again. And because every once in a while you get a rush and you have half of those people come in all of a sudden getting stuff. And then I had to help them load it and everything else. I get back down in and start building again. Here comes more people. I climb back out. And Curry come out and they said, "Boy, you haven't made it far." I said, "No." I said, "Every time I get back in there," I said, "somebody else calls, I have to go do it. How come Sonny ain't done it?" I said, "Really?" He said, "Oh, that's right." He said, "Have you ever figured out where he hides it?" I said, "No, nobody can figure out where he hides. He's got a place out here someplace." And besides that, then I ended up I have to do inventory. Doing inventory at a lumberyard's fun to do. You had to count every single board. But it was better than counting the wire, because he wanted to know how many feet of wire he had, certain kinds of wire. And had this thing that it was like a crank thing, you hook the wire to it, you just start cranking it, and it had a little counter on it. It counted how many feet it was.
Mm-hmm.
But putting it back on there was something altogether different. Come off easy, put it back on. You spend all day, a day may not do but one spool. So after that, I started guessing.
That's probably the better bet.
Yeah.
So how did you get into truck driving? Did someone recommend it to you, or is it something you'd wanted to do?
I think somewhere in between. I don't think anybody recommended me to it. I just heard about truck driving. I said, that might be a lot of fun. Just going from seeing different parts of the United States. So I did that.
Do you have any certain places that were most memorable that you really liked visiting?
Yeah, the place that me and I cannot remember names all of a sudden. he was fun to be at, but he got into some. He's the craziest guy I ever saw. We went up into Idaho, and somewhere or another he got off on this scenic trip. And down below I had this creek, gorgeous up in there. If I was gonna move, I'd move up in there. We had all. He was always getting in trouble. Like the time the Mexicans put their knife to his neck and was going to rob him, and I was sleeping. I hadn't slept good in several days, and he was driving. And we were down in Texas, if I remember right. And we was looking for this certain route. Well, their routing down there is totally different than up here. It doesn't say like highway such and such this way. They have a whole bunch of numbers. They may have a 4 or 5 number thing on there, plus an A and a B, and that's what you have to sit there and look up at. Or no, it's a farm market road. Every road down there is farm market road, but you had to look for a certain number one.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I said, Sonny, I said, I'm going to bed. I said, I slept for a while. It was okay. I said, so while I'm sleeping, he tells me this story the next day.
What was his name?
That's what I'm trying to think of. I can't think of his daggone name.
You just called him Sonny, I think.
No, that was Sonny from Carter's.
Yeah.
No, Sonny didn't. He never did work as truck driver.
Oh, okay.
Because I had co-drivers before I finally went solo. Keep thinking Robert or Bob or something, but that's not it. I cannot think of his name. But anyway, so I wake up the next morning. He's not around anywhere. I said, where in the same hell we at? So he comes back. I said, where's you at? Oh, yeah, I said, where are we at? Well, I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, I hope you had a good laugh last night. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, he said, went down this road. I said, okay. He said, saw this old Mexican guy. Asked him where's that. He said, go down there to the dead end, but it's not really a dead end. I said, let me guess, it was dead end. Yeah. I said, you was laughing your ass off all this time. I said, no, I wasn't. I said, I was asleep. And I said, okay, now what happened? He said, well, all of a sudden these 2 Mexican guys jumped up on the side of my truck. I said, yeah, so? Well, I had my window down. I said, getting better every minute there. Now what? He said, they put a knife to my neck. He said, you was back here in the back laughing. I said, no, I wasn't. I didn't hear any of this. I said, then what happened? He said, well, he said, if I didn't give him my money, he said, he was going to cut my neck. I said, well, did you give him the money? No. I said, well, apparently they didn't cut your neck. He said, I even offered to help unload it with them if they just leave me alone. I said, did you do that? No. He said, what it did was, he said, well, he was carrying on arguing about one another. He said, I had this ball-peen hammer. And he said, the first guy, he said, well, he was not paying any attention. He said, I poked my finger in his eye. That's as far as I could get. He said, went screaming down the road. The other guy jumped up and he said, and right between the eyeballs with my ball-peen hammer. He just fell off on the deck. He said, and I know I killed that one guy. He said, I got to call the police. I said, yeah, they'll have a good laugh. I said, you ain't going to call any cops. What are you going to tell them? I said, first of all, I said, when it says dead end, you don't go down there. I said, that's common sense. I said, it was a cul-de-sac. I said, that's where they was going to rob your ass. He said, yeah, I know that. I said, okay. He said, you laughed all the way through it. I said, no, I didn't. I said, if I'd been listening, I might have, because I'm laughing now. That was only the first thing he got into. He got into it one time. We was coming out of Chicago with a load of cookies. Heavy load. Well, our fuel stop was like a quarter of a mile from the state scales. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to go to bed. I said, try to stay out of trouble. I said, when we get to the truck stop, I said, wake me up. I said, we'll get it legal, get some fuel and leave. He said, okay. Next morning I wake up, stick my head out, and I said, where in the hell are we at? We're sitting at the state scales. So he's no place to be found. I get up, I'm sitting there, where in the hell is he at? All of a sudden, here he comes. He's got his log book, he's got his permit book, and some other book. Oh, the manifest. I said, why are we sitting here? I said, by the way, I said, how come you didn't wake me up? Get it legal. He said, well, he said it felt right. So it felt right. That's a new one on me. He said, well, he said, you know, when you're pulling something heavy, he said, you can kind of feel it, you know, how it's pretty much equal. I said, apparently it wasn't legal, was it? He said, no. He said, they charged me $200. He said, and the company will pay it, but reimburse me for it. And I said, well, no, dummy. I said, that's why they have a CAT scale, which was the best scale you could get on to get weighed, to get your load, because you can only have so much on each axle. Mm-hmm. And he didn't do it. He said, it felt right. So it cost him $200. And then one time we was in San Antonio. We was a layover. We just gotten paid. We got our advance. And we was parked there, right down. So we went in there and sitting there talking. I'm sitting there drinking my soda, and he was sitting there, and all of a sudden this girl walks up, so he starts talking with her. Finds out she's a neighbor of his. Like, he's from Texas. Mm-hmm. Well, she is like the neighbor, the next town down or something like that. I said, well, I'm going to go truck. I said, I'm going to go to bed. He said, okay. So I leave. He's still blowing in and going with this young gal. And so 15 minutes later, he comes back and he says, I need some money. I said, you need some money. He said, yeah, he says, so much money. He said, they take you back there in this back room. I said, okay. How much you need? $10 or 15 or whatever. Well, it wasn't a lot. I said, okay, here. So he leaves. 15 minutes later, here he comes again. I said, boy, that was quick. He said, no. He said, you know what that is? And I said, no, I have no idea, but I'm sure you're going to tell me. He said, well, he said, they take you to the back room. They give you a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. And you go in with the girl, and you sit there and talk. I said, what'd you think you was going to do? He said, well, on top of that, he said, they got these 2 big dudes that stand there at the door. And they watch you. I said, really? I said, you actually thought you were going, well, yeah. I said, for $20? Yeah. I said, really? Oh. I said, do you not ever think before you do something? We used to go by the chicken ranch. Well, it's called the Mustang Ranch, but everybody calls it the Chicken Ranch, out there in Nevada, where prostitution is legal. And you can see it off in the distance. I said, yeah. He said, next time I have money, I have time, I'm going to go there. I said, okay. So we go by. A few days later, we come back going the other way. He said, yeah. He said, I'm going to go there. And I said, well, I said, you just got done getting paid. Well, I ain't got time now. I said, okay. So a few days later, here we come back again, going back east again. Yep, one of these days on something. I said, no, you're not. I said, by the way, I said, we just got our advance. We got time. So either put up or shut up. I said, I'm tired of hearing about it. He never brought it up again. Oh, he was doing some of the stupidest shit. He was fun to be around. There was another story he did. I can't remember now. It just popped right out of my head. Some of this craziest stuff he did. But those are the two highlighted ones. Oh, I know the other one was. We had picked up this load of shoes out of, I think it was Topeka, Kansas. The whole problem was that it was supposed to be in California in a couple of days. So they had to have a team driver do it. Because one single guy couldn't do it because he run out of hours legally to drive. So we had this other load we had delivered. Well, they was late in getting it unloaded, so that put us behind. So we got out there running about 5 or 6 hours late. We picked up this, what they call a hot load. But it's not really hot to the touch. It's just that it has to be there absolutely, positively on time, which means you have to bust your ass. So we pick it up, we take off. And so we get out there and had to stop for fuel. I said, tell you what, I said, you fuel, I'll go and get us some food. Okay, so we did that. Before we leave, he calls the manager, or our dispatcher. He said, when's this supposed to be? Oh, so on Saturday. I said, is somebody supposed to be there unloaded? I said, because we ain't unloading it. No, they're supposed to have some people there to unload it. And my friend says, there's no way we can make it there on time. I said, yeah, there is. I said, we just drive by and fuel as we're going down the road. Basically how you did it. So anyway, we leave. We pull in on Saturday. Nobody around. And all of a sudden, the guy shows up. He said, yeah, he said, we're supposed to be unloading your truck. He said, but it's going to be a couple hours before we get to it. He said, there's a little restaurant down there. It says great, serves great food. He said, breakfast, go down there. We'll take care of it. Okay. And so anyway, right before we leave, he says, thought this was hot load. He said, hot load ain't supposed to be here till Monday. And boy, he exploded. Wait a minute. I said, calm down. I said, that's our dispatcher. So he called the dispatcher, chewing him up one side and the other. What are you talking about? Fast load, hot load. Ain't supposed to be here till Monday. Well, guess what? I said, we're here on Saturday. We busted our ass get it here. Didn't even get some relaxing time or stop and eat. And you're telling us it's a hot load? It's about as cold as ice. You talking about hot load. But we did go down. We had a nice breakfast. I've got so many memories on those. Like the one guy who was going to beat me up, one of my co-drivers.
Why?
Something I had done that I was supposed to do, and he didn't like it. Oh, I know what it was. I think we picked up this load, and if you got there 24 hours early, you got paid extra. You got pay overtime. Plus, you get a motel.
Mm-hmm.
We pull up there, and we're in Vancouver. There's a Vancouver, Oregon, and there's a Vancouver, Washington. Well, we're in the other one, or something. I've almost forgotten part of it. But anyway, we're on the wrong side of the state. We're in a different state. And the other one is on the other side. And so we pull up in this place, you know. I said, what are you going to do? I'm going to get us a room. What do you mean you're going to get a room? Yeah, he said, I'm going to do a room, take a shower, do my laundry. What are you going to do? I said, I'm going to sleep. I said, you ain't going to get a free room. Yeah, well. He said, yeah, we're in Vancouver. I said, you're supposed to be in the same state. I said, we're in Oregon. We're supposed to be in Washington State. I said, so that pretty much erases that. Well, I'm still going to work there. I'm going to do some laundry. I said, we got to be there in 3.5 hours. What are you talking about? I said, when you plan on getting any sleep? Oh, I have plenty of. So anyway, the weekend before I'd picked him up, I'd gotten this plywood, cut a notch out so it fit. I could lay it from seat to seat and still be able to shift it if I have to. So I'm sleeping in there. I'm sleeping pretty good. He banged on the door. He said, hey, you get out here. I said, you go up here to the signal, hang a left. Okay, so he gets in it. He gets up there, he hangs a right. I look down the road, there's a big sign, Interstate 5. So he's going. So we just keep going. It starts as a 4-lane concrete down to a 2-lane concrete to blacktop to gravel. 1-lane gravel we ended up on. That's how it just kind of fell apart. I said, you know it's going to be, and it's 50 miles. We drive out there, no exits anywhere. I said, you know what's going to be funny? He said, what? I said, we're going to get down here, we're going to run to a dead end. I said, I told you, turn to the left, but Mr. Know-All, he gets down there, big sign, dead end. I said, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not backing it out of here. I said, you guys down here, you see, you get us out. Luckily, it was like a cul-de-sac. Had a big circle, and I had a little mobile home sitting there. Mm-hmm. He just went around and come back. So, 50 miles going the other way. We get back up the original signal. I said, see that sign right over there? I said, what did I say? I said, Interstate 5. I said, which way did you go? To the right. I said, which way should have you went? Left. I said, I told you. So we go and deliver the load. So after that, he was really pissed at me. Why? It was his mistake. So anyway, all the way back to St. Joseph, Missouri, he said, yeah, he said, I'll yank you out of that truck and beat the living daylight out of that. After about the second or third day of hearing, I called this. We stop at this little truck stop. And I call her. I tell her all about it. She says, okay. She said, I'll take care of it. So anyway, he happened to walk by. He said, yeah, what'd you do? Who cried to mommy? I said, no. He said, well, I said, by the way, she doesn't want to talk to you. Oh, okay. You know, after that, he was just so nice. I don't know what she said to him or how she said it, but he basically flipped. He came back and he said, anything you need, he said, you ever want this? He said, I'll take care of it. Need this? I'll take care of it. You don't have another worry. He said, I'm your man. I kept thinking, what the hell did she say to him? He just totally, his whole attitude flipped. She must have crawled up his ass and did a redo. I think that was probably the last time we was together. He was one of those truckers that he was a local truck driver.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he just drove around the same little area in his state. He decided he wanted to be a long distance truck driver.
Hmm.
But I figured him out. He said he'd take cats. He said there's always 50 cats in place. He said, well, he wanted to get rid of them. He said he'd grab them, throw in a burlap sack, all of them, all the ones he wanted to get rid of. And he'd throw in some bricks, tie it shut, take it out to the pond, throw them in, sit there and watch them as they drowned and fought.
What a monster.
Yeah. I said, yeah, that's pretty good. I said, okay, now I know how you are. You don't give a shit.
That's how serial killers are made.
Yeah.
That's like step one.
If you want to get rid of them, shoot them. Put them out of their misery. Don't let them sit there and fight trying to get out and them drowning. I say it's really sick. I never did see him after he got off the truck. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I never saw him again.
Did you have any other job stories, or you want to go on to the next question?
Go to the next question.
How old were you when you first moved out on your own?
22.
You were 22?
I got married.
How did you feel when you first got to experience independence?
I don't think I really had independence.
Well, I
yet.
guess if you got married and moved out.
No. I felt. No, I guess to the point I couldn't believe I actually did it. But me and her dated for a year. Same time I was dating Shelley, Bob was dating her younger sister.
Mm-hmm. That would have been weird.
Yeah, because Mom didn't like the sister.
Oh, okay.
He made a mistake of giving her his class ring. Then her house caught on fire and he never did get the class ring back. I still have my class ring. It don't fit me. Well, it fits my little finger.
So the first time you moved out, it was just when you got married?
Yep.
You didn't have any place
No.
before that?
Second time I got single, I moved in with Dad, eating Kentucky Fried Chicken every single night. Same Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Now, was this after your mom passed away?
No, this was before. Kind of in between. I'd been there for a little while.
Uh-huh.
Maybe a month. Then she got sick. But she was already in the hospital when I first moved back. But he had cable. And I'd start recording shows. Well, at 10 o'clock, he always watched the news. He had to watch the news. Well, once or twice he couldn't watch it and he got upset over that. So after that, I had to change it where I couldn't record during 10 and 10:30. Anyway, no, he grew Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he get the same order: 2 pieces of chicken and a biscuit, I think some coleslaw and mashed potatoes. That was it, every single night. After about a week, I said, Dad, I said, do you think you could actually pick up something else besides Kentucky Fried Chicken? Why, what's wrong with Kentucky Fried Chicken? I said, I love Kentucky Fried Chicken, but not every single night. Well, what else is there for me to pick up? I said, how about some Long John Silver's? Oh, I guess I could do that. One night we had Long John Silver's, and guess what? Back to Kentucky Fried Chicken again. I said, you're stuck on Kentucky Fried Chicken. Dad used to make his own topping, like dressing, salad dressing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good for being homemade. Kind of a concoction of this one, and that one over there.
Mm-hmm.
part of it had to do with pickle juice. Put that in there, and then I can't remember what all he put in there, but he mixed it all up. It tasted pretty good. But the basic ingredient was pickle juice.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So since you didn't have any other roommates, I'm guessing you just had Shelly, Mom, and then your parents. You didn't ever have a place by yourself?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So what was dating like when you were a young adult?
Mm. You'd probably go pick them up, take them like to some, like McDonald's or something like that, and you'd talk for a while, and that was pretty much it. Wasn't anything exceptional. There really wasn't anything exceptional around here at the time.
You didn't go like bowling or skating or anything?
I went skating once, maybe twice, and one of them was at Matt and Sarah was learning how to roller skate out there at the roller rink, and I went there. I think that's pretty much the only time. 'Cause I think I fell down and said, okay, I'm done. And me and Shelly went bowling. I don't know if we ever really went bowling by ourselves. I don't think we did. She used to come out there and watch me bowl before we got engaged. Because I was on a bowling league. That's where the name Bull Hunter come from. That was our team name, the Bull Hunter.
How did I never know that? You use that for everything. I thought it was just a stupid thing that you came up with. Turns out it was your bowling team.
Yeah.
Was there a specific event that happened that made you feel like you had actually finally become an adult? And if so, what?
Finally, Matt showed up.
Whenever you had Matt,
Yeah.
just becoming a parent
Yeah.
made you feel like you were an adult.
I never could see myself being a grandparent.
Why is that?
And, I don't know. When Dad was, first of all, I couldn't see myself being a dad. I said, man, I wonder what it's like being a dad. And then I had Matt. I said, oh, okay, well, this ain't bad. I'm thinking, I just cannot see myself as a grandfather. And guess what? Now I'm a grandpa.
Uh-huh.
And I still haven't really comprehended that yet.
Was Matt and Sarah good, like, babies?
Matt used to climb out of his bed, figuring you could put him in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that first, remember the inside of the trailer?
No. The
Well,
only thing I remember is, like, the floor.
Okay, well, when you walked in, you was in the living room.
Uh-huh.
And the hallway. As soon as you walked down the hallway, the first door to the left was the bedroom. So the living room and his bed, their bedroom is the same. Well, she was up against the outside wall, if I remember right, and his butted up against the hallway wall. We take him in there, we'd save him down there, and before we could get back to the couch in the living room, he come running around like a big grin and say, "See, Daddy?" We pick him back, stay in your bed. Before we ever our butts got back to the couch, here he come running around the corner, just a big grin on his face, says, "Here I am." After about the third time, he started getting his butt whipped. I'd stop that real quick. If he did come around, he wasn't smiling. Alicia, but Sarah, no, she never did. I don't remember her really ever. Maybe keeping their bedroom messy.
Mm-hmm.
She was good at that. Because when she got her own bedroom out of the house, you could take a step without tripping over something. Because she had Instead of, when you get done playing with this, put it up and get something out of that. I'll just leave it there. I'll do that later. Matt, he tried to hide his. Did that one time, didn't work. His bedroom looked like Sarah's. You could take half a step and trip over something. And I walked in off work. She says, you need to have the kids clean up their rooms. I said, okay. So I walked in there and told Sarah, I said, clean up your room. I said, there's no sense in this. Okay. I walked in the mat room. I said, clean this room up now. 5 minutes later, he's got it all cleaned up. I'm thinking, wait a minute, ain't no way you're going to clean up that mess and it back where it's supposed to be in 5 minutes. Alicia hasn't even touched her room yet.
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. So I think, if I remember right, I swatted her on her ass. I said, clean it up. So I walked in, man. I said, clean this room up? Yep, sure did. I said, you really cleaned it up, right? Yeah. Everything back in its place? Yeah. Looked underneath the bed. There it is. I said, what's all this stuff under here? I said, is that all the stuff that's laying on your floor, right? Yeah. I said, get your ass up. Put up everything. That was the only time he tried to pull that trick. I said, do you actually think I wasn't going to look under there? No. I said, that's the first place I look. I didn't know that. And I said, yeah, I can pretty well tell that. I said, there's no way you're going to have that room cleaned up that quick and back in the right boxes in 5 minutes. Oh.
Okay, so next one is, well, first off, did you get your first house with Shelly?
Yeah.
Like, you bought your first house with her?
Dad bought the house.
Oh, okay.
Dad bought the property.
Oh. Where was this one at, in Woodland?
No, it was out on Highway 15.
Oh, okay. So, describe that house to me.
Before or after?
What do you mean before or after?
Before we start on the remodeling.
It don't matter. You can do both if you want.
Well, on the remodeling, we had to knock off all the plaster off the walls. So it had lattice. This was the old way of putting up drywall. This is drywall. That was actual drywall, which means you take these little thin little boards and you lay it across there, and you take your compound. You start filling it in with a little board that held it on the wall. But when we started knocking off, they just cough and flakes and chunks, and you had dust in the air and everything else, and all over the floor. And then we almost slid off the roof when I was up there one time. I got within about this far from the edge, and I luckily got stopped. But it was like about a 12-foot drop to the bottom. I said, oh shit. I stopped right before I got to the edge. Because it was looked like this, that roof. But Dad paid for moving it, all the permits. But it was located up, where Ford Square is.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the back of that. That's where it's set. You could, I don't know, you still can, I guess you can. You just don't see them as often. You can go out, find a house that they're getting ready to destroy, and you can get it and have it moved. They have house movers. But they have to be within a certain range. Like you can't have a 30-foot tall house and be able to move it because it won't go underneath the power lines. It has to be able to go underneath the power line, can't overhang the lane or whatever road you're on. But it had to go underneath that bypass, that overpass there at the grade school. which it did by about that much. And I had to go underneath some power lines that Dad had a 2x4 and raised them up. And we took them out there where Bud Ray Video was. We turn right there. But you could only block the highway for so long, then you had to get off of it. We had to go a different way. So that way we went up the old Risky Road. And I think we came back across to Woodlawn, back up to the highway, and then go. He paid for all of that. Paid for all the materials for the remodeling because we added on to it. We added back a 16-foot section on one. And then we put in some new cabinets that I built. Paid for all of it. Her father never come out. Had all the help. Her mom never did come out to help. My mom did. My dad did. I did. Shelly did. But Shelly didn't do that much. But that's how Shelly went from being number 1 on the daughter-in-laws to number 3. Because she got the house.
Is that the house that was that the only house you got together?
We only married 13 years.
Mm-hmm. So how is Grandma and Grandpa? How are they with Matt and Sarah?
Spoiled to death. We could live. We could eat dinner over there at the trailer. Get up, walk out the door, drive all the way over to Mom and Dad's house, and they would ask. Mom would say, "You guys hungry?" "Uh-huh." I said, "They're not hungry." She said, "Well, don't you feel?" I said, "We just got up to the kitchen table. We come straight over here. It's been 15 minutes since they ate." "Well, you just don't take care of them right." Of course, Dad had one of the kitchen cabinets. I think he had every flavor of baby food there was there to offer. He'd open her up. Yeah, here. Of course, Sarah would eat them. Every single time. "Yeah, we're hungry, Grandma." Because they knew Grandma would feed them. They were spoiled rotten. Anything else?
Yeah, I was just seeing if you was saying anything else. No. So, did you want to continue a little more?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do random questions next. What is the best gift? What?
That's my answer now.
Oh. What is the best gift that you ever received?
Oh, brother.
Me!
Probably my TV at home.
Like your current TV at home?
Yeah.
Oh, that was from me, so... Well, me and Dalton.
I've had so many gifts that I was crazy about, and I can't really pick one.
Was there anything that, like, your mom gave you special, or your dad? We didn't get that many gifts. We got it for Christmas, birthdays. That's it. If we want anything for ourselves, we had to save up for it. We go to Ben Franklin and get it, which wasn't that often. Oh, I don't really know whether I had any from them. But they give me a whole bunch. I mean, the racetrack, the
pedal car. I had a tractor pedal car. One was a pedal track, the other one was a pedal car. It was blue and white. Tractor was, I think, red and white. And I had a two-wheel scooter that you pedaled, where you pushed it with your foot. Like what I was telling Travis about.
Yeah.
I told you about that the other night. He said, "Grandpa, die." He said, "I'm gonna kill you if you keep turning that." I said, and then when he left, somebody was talking about Travis. I said, "You know what, Travis? That's even better. She can ride on the back of you while you pedal." I said, "The way you're going," I said, "you're gonna be 80 years old time you get your driver's license."
You ready for the next question?
Yeah, because I can't nail down just one.
Well, I mean,
I can't even nail down 6.
no, you're good.
Because I know there's. Yeah, I know there's some out there. I'd put down the racetrack, I guess.
Okay.
That wasn't all mine. That was half Bob's. Okay, next question.
When you think of your most embarrassing moment, what comes to mind?
You really have that many embarrassing moments. Maybe one. That was when for one time, I was in the orchestra for this concert. And they had their own little outfit. So I never did ask for the outfit. You had to ask for it. So when it comes time for some thing, Mom's got me in a suit. I showed up. "Oh, no, you got," so they had to go find one that fit me. I got it at home. What's left of it? It's mostly intact. Probably about 98% intact.
That was your embarrassing moment?
And the only other one was when I was late getting back. We went down to Murfreesboro to the Apple parade, for the Apple. What's that word I'm trying to think of?
Orchard
No, it wasn't orchard. It's a
festival?
Yeah, Apple Festival. And we was in the band. We marched through, and then we had been back at a certain time. Well, I had one off, and I think me and Steve did. We went down to the opposite end of town, went and got some ice cream. We was coming back, and the ice cream was not, and we was eating. And we met up with the band director, and he was not happy. So that was the only other time.
Cool. Did you ever get arrested?
Yes.
Yes? What for?
Well, a mix-up. Me and Scott Mattingly, we was going fishing down there on the river at Gorham. And we stopped and picked up this big bag of like about 12 of the cheap McDonald's hamburgers. And that's where we were going. Well, we got up there around Nashville, all of a sudden, a cop pulls over. He says, "You saw something?" I said, "Yeah." "Why?" "Well, you're under arrest." I said, "For what?" "Oh, you did this." I said, "That was already supposed to be taken care of by my lawyer." Well, apparently it hadn't went through, or he had forgot to do it. But I got arrested. So that pissed Dad off. He called up I think his name was Jim Hanson. He was the public defender. And Dad had picked him out to handle my divorce. And he didn't like him after that. Anyway, anyway, he got hold and said, "You get this, take care." I said, "My son is in a hospital over there in Asheville, and locked up in jail for something that you were supposed to take care of."
What was it?
Something to do with the divorce. Where I wasn't allowed to do something, or I was supposed to meet somebody. I can't remember where it was and how, but yeah, they let me go. I was in there maybe an hour. Scott said, "What in the Samuel did you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'll mix some kind of a legal blunder." So my lawyer is supposed to do such and such, and apparently he did the wrong thing or didn't do it at all. He said, "Oh, okay." So okay, so that makes sense. So we went fishing.
Okay. So a second part to that, is there anything else that you didn't get arrested for that you got away with?
Yes. The old hobby shop. I used to steal magazines that had naked women in them. This was back when they was in the Emerson Hotel. It set up there. The parking lot sits up there right before you come up to the first signal. Sits there on the left, the big parking lot right there. That's where the Emerson Hotel set is, like 5 or 6 stories high. And they was rented one of the bottom halves, and that's where they had their hobby shop at. And they had these big old giant mirrors up there. They were a bit as big as your fan, maybe probably a little bit bigger than that. And they'd have them on the walls. And they'd sit there up there in front, look in the mirror and see what you was doing. So at the time, I was delivering newspapers.
How old were you?
13, 14, maybe, somewhere in that range. And anyway, I delivered papers up on the square, and I walked in there and walked back there and back, and I was sitting there kind of skimming through them, looking at the other books, adult books. And I found this one book. It was Birds and the Bees. And I had a few newspapers left over in my bag. So I slipped it underneath one of the newspapers. So I got ready to walk out. And he said, "Let me see the book." He said, "I know you have it." He said, "I stood here and watched you." I said, "I don't have it." "Yeah, you did. What'd you do with it?" I said, "I put it back over around the corner." "Well, I'm going to check you out anyway." So he looked. He got down to the newspaper where it was at. And he didn't say. He said, "Well, okay, so I guess you don't have it." And then a few times I went in there and I'd wear loose jeans just barely where they almost fall down. And I'd set the front of my shirt with magazines. I mean, not just a few, I mean a lot, like 15, 20 of them. I'd come out and my pants was out of them. And you couldn't move because if you did, then you'd see where the magazine was, you could see the creases. And then I had a phone booth. I'd go down there and I'd straighten it all out, take a few out, make it more comfortable. I did that a couple of times. I said, "I think I better quit." So I quit doing that.
Got away with it for so long.
Yep.
Better quit while you're ahead.
Yep.
Was there anything else that you did that you should have gotten in trouble for?
No, that's pretty much it.
What is or are your biggest fears?
What do you mean by fear? Is fear of doing?
I mean, just about everything. Like moms would be like spiders or something
Oh.
like that, but it could also be like fear of,
I always had the fear of a mouse running up my leg.
Do what?
a mouse running up my
Oh, a
leg.
mouse. I thought you said a
Other
mouth.
than that, it would be airplanes, helicopters, submarines, bungee jumping. Pretty much it.
Anything heights? So you're afraid of heights then? Other than like roller coasters.
Yeah. I kind of, I can, I used to be able to climb a tree, but once I got up there, I said, oh, I looked down, how in the hell am I supposed to get down? But it's been years since I climbed a tree. If I get up there now, I don't think I could climb a tree now if I wanted to.
I don't think you could either.
Well, I
Maybe
don't
if it
think
had stairs on the side of it.
I have that escalator.
Yeah. Is there anything that's a fear that's like a personal one, like a fear of failure or something like that?
Nope. I just don't care.
Do you have any songs that hold special meaning to you? And why do they mean something to you?
I've got a few songs. George Harrison's one song, My Sweet Lord. I know it just kind of pulls me. Love's Theme. I don't know why it does. It's just kind of a love song. Highway 101. It makes you feel like you're actually going down the highway, because there is a Highway 101 in South California, because I've been on it. That's another one of my trucker stories I'll tell you about. I forgot about that one. That's pretty much it.
Is there any song that reminds you of Grandma or Grandpa?
Not that I know of. Because they really wasn't into music. I don't remember Dad ever listened to songs until towards about the last 10 years of his life. And then he had his radio on. Always told him he'd be sitting back there in the one barber chair in the corner. He'd sit there sound asleep. I said, Dad, they're going to find you dead sitting up here in this dead-gum barber chair. I said, because you look like you're dead. You're laying there and you're all hunched over and your head down like a dead person. He always thought that was kind of funny. I said, I'm talking seriously. Anything else?
Well, you can tell me that trucker story if you want.
Oh, anyway, we had delivered this load. I'm trying to think, it was over there by Bakersfield, California. And because we had to go up through Bakersfield to jump on, Interstate 5. So he's driving. I said, I'm going to tell you right now. I said, you go up here, it's going to say Interstate 5 at Bakersfield. You jump off there. I said, and they're going to show you 3 different signs before you get there, telling you about this exit. Don't miss the exit. Okay. So, first sign says Interstate 5, Bakersfield, half mile. Next one says Bakersfield, exit Interstate 5, quarter of a mile. Exit Bakersfield, Interstate 5, now. Keeps on trucking. Now we had to stop and get fuel. It's over on Interstate 5. Almost straight across from Bakersfield, but there's no road goes from Bakersfield, Bakersfield straight over to Interstate 5. So now he's got us on Highway 101. So we have to go he goes all the way up there, and that's where he parks it. I wake up and said, where are we at? I don't know, I'm lost. I said, what do you mean you're lost? Where are you supposed to be? Interstate 5. I said, what road are you on? Highway 101. I said, how'd you do that? Oh, I said, you don't tell me you missed all 3 of those warnings. I said, I even told you. Well, You see, I started talking to this guy. I said, yeah, I know how you are. You start talking, you quit concentrating on what the hell you're supposed to be doing. So he missed it. So now we had to come back all the way back around, get on Interstate 5. Now we're going to go down to Yuma, California, Yuma, Arizona, because we got to pick up some fruit and vegetables down there. I said, you think you could get down there? Yeah, well, guess what? Missed it. I said, where in the same hell you at now? Oh, I can't remember now where we was at, but we wasn't even close to Yuma. I said, don't tell me that you got, yeah. His problem was he get on CD and he'd start bullshitting, talking, and blowing and going. Not just for a few minutes, but like for hours. And he just not paying attention to anything that's on the road signs. So we finally make it over to Yuma and get loaded. We're leaving. I said, okay. So this is your third chance. I said, you go to this town right here, you hang a left, you get on this highway right here. I said, there's an exit up there. You get on, takes you right up to Interstate 40. I said, and we're going to cut straight across west. Or not west, but east. Okay. So I wake up, I'm looking around, I said, where in the hell are we at? I'm sitting there and it's snowing. Here he comes. I said, where in the hell are we at? I don't know. I said, how come you never know? You're driving, you go remember where you're at? Well, I'm up here on this so-and-so road. I said, why are you there for? I said, why are you off the interstate? Oh, I said, I know, you missed the exit. Yeah. I said, you was talking again on the CV. I said, I'm going to take that damn CV out. So it's snowing, and we're stuck up here on this two-way lane, have no idea where in the hell we're at. He said, well, I'm going to bed. I said, yeah, you've already done enough damage for a 24-hour period. You go to bed. So I find where I go, and I zip right back on Interstate 5. Thinking, you are a total idiot. Then we get over there, I can't think of what it's one of the New England states, because we got some broccoli we got to deliver. I've already delivered there once, and they rejected part of it. It was, I think it's in Maryland. So the first time I went up there, and these was nice big size boxes. Probably as wide as that is, and then probably forward about to here. Big boxes about this deep. Nothing but solid broccoli heads. So I get up there and I walk up. I said, okay. I said, here you go. He said, well, he said, I'm going to tell you right now, I reject that one, and that one. I said, why? There's nothing wrong with broccoli. No, the boxes are damaged. These kind of boxes that has wax on them, cardboard boxes, they wax them and seals them. Mm-hmm. Well, some of them had leaked and they had stained them. So he rejected them. I said, what are you doing that for? I said, aren't you going to take them out of the box? No. He said, the person who runs the grocery store will reject them because they have to display them in the boxes and they don't want any bad boxes. I said, oh, okay. I said, what am I supposed to do with them? He said, I don't care what you do with them. So those are the ones that me and Mom ate on for over a year. These heads were about this big around. Because I had either 5 or 6 of them. Because I give one box to one guy, and then I had to go have my trailer washed out, because anytime you hauled vegetables or fruits, you had to have it washed out to get all the debris and crud out of it. So I went up to this truck wash, and they washed it out. I said, you like broccoli? Oh yeah, I love broccoli. I said, you want some broccoli? Yeah. I said, here, take that one right there. Oh, well, thanks. I said, by the way, go ahead and take that one there too. He said, hey, thanks a lot. He said, anytime you want your trail wash, he said, you just bring it right over here. Okay. I never did go back. Yeah. Then I think I brought two home for us.
So on that same note, it's not a question on my paper. What are some of the things that you've brought home from being a truck driver that you got for one reason or another?
Broccoli, sugar, pickles, some cookies, which they don't make anymore. They were cookies and they had fudge on the inside of them. Can't think of now what they're called. But me and my first one truck driver had a Mexican with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
We got that out of Denver. Boy, was they rich, but they were good. But I mean, you eat about 3 or 4, you couldn't eat no more because they was that rich. Best cookies I ever had. That's pretty much it.
Juice.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Juices.
I remember those jug juices. We got like cases and cases of those.
Oh, these are the little
barrels.
With barrels.
They were shaped like that.
Oh yeah, they was out of Paducah.
Yeah, I think they were called jugs.
They would take all their overstock stuff and rejects up there to our main terminal. And they put it inside the building where they worked on the truck set. And if you want some, you'd come in and get it. So I used, and they razzed me about that for a long time. They said, yeah, how many you taking home? I said, I don't know. So anyway, I used to pick them up there and I'd stack them inside the truck and bring them home. He said, how? I said, I get them for my kids. I said, they love this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, well, no problem. Oh, I did get some buckets one time.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I think I
In
remember
Chicago. Got them for free. They was at a bucket where they manufactured the buckets. I asked, when I was picking up a load, I said, how much you get per bucket? He said, why? I said, well, I wouldn't mind having some buckets, but how much they cost? Oh, no, they don't cost you anything. You can get it for free. You want some buckets? I said, yeah, I'll take a few. He said, okay. He said, I'll bring you some buckets. So he brought out a whole pallet full, stacked up about this high. He said, the thing is, he said, you have to go through the guards. He said, they can't see them. I said, okay. So I stacked them in my bunk. I mean, I had that thing crammed full of buckets. It took about half the stack. If I could have got them in the back, I'd have put the rest of them in the back. That was only one time I went up there. I still got them left. Some of them left. They were good, nice, good buckets.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were called the rejects for some reason or another. I couldn't tell any difference. It looked like you get one of the main. So.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I can't think of anything others. I already forgot about the juices.
Oh.
And then the buckets.
Yeah, I mostly remember the juices and the pickles.
Yeah, that one year we canned a whole bunch of pickles.
I was going to say.
And that's when I started bringing them home.
Uh-huh.
And every one of them pickles ruined. We had canned, they went soft.
I think I ate a bunch of the sweet ones. Because I think most of what you got were like dill ones.
No, most of them we got was the bread and butter.
Oh.
They were good pickles.
Mm-hmm.
They were kosher pickles. You know how they make them kosher?
What?
A priest comes in
once
a day at noon and he blesses them. That makes them kosher.
Oh.
Believe it or not. I didn't believe it till I asked them.
Final question, and then you can go. Okay, what family tradition do you cherish the most?
Family get-togethers.
Are you talking about like now, or you whenever you were a kid, or both?
No, I'm talking about now. Oh, we talking about that.
Oh, any.
Yeah. Family get-togethers. He was supposed to have them the first 8 years, and I was supposed to give him for 8 years. I haven't seen him since. There's a lot of people in there. He has no idea who they are. Because the last time we all looked at him, he said, "Who's that person there?" And I told him, I said, "That's so and so." "Oh, well, who's this person over here?" I said, "That's so and so." "How do you know all this stuff?" I said, "Because they told me, and I just remember."
So, do you have any pictures of family members?
Well, I have pictures of my Grandpa James, Grandma Clara, my dad's baby child picture, and his parents. I think that's it. And Mom's early years. Well, this is all in a picture frame.
Oh. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. The one in your bedroom.
Yeah.
So, the family get-togethers, who specifically are you talking about? What family members?
Just my side.
Like all of the kids?
Well, yeah, family, kid, part of the family.